Hi, Pat here with Living Web Farms, back in our Grandview greenhouse doing the next installment of our Resilience Daily series, which we're doing in collaboration with the Organic Grower School. And today we're going to talk tomatoes. We're going to talk what to do if you don't have plants. It's kind of being a crazy year, maybe you can't find plants. There's a few options. Right here we have a volunteer tomato from last year. Now the odds are very good that this was from a hybrid plant, which means that it's very likely that the result will be a small cherry tomato. That's what most hybrid plants revert back to. A lot of people are happy with those. They tend to be pretty blight resistant and very productive and quite tasty. But if you're looking for a nice big slicer, you might want to take a clone from a plant that has been developed for nice big tomatoes. And back here, we can show you how to do that. You're supposed to take the suckers off of tomatoes. Suckers are this new growth that happens between each leaf and the stem. Here's an example of it right here. And one reason you take that off is you don't want a lot of dense growth down low. Okay, and also it's going to make lots of flowers and branches too, and eventually you can just overload the plant's ability to produce that much fruit. So at least early on, most people take the suckers off. You can either cut them off or snap them off. And I think I read a good argument for why to cut them off, but I find myself quite happy with snapping them usually. There we go. Okay. And then, like always, you can see I've already done a couple here. We want to reduce the leaf area because there are no roots for this plant, right? So we do the same thing we've done with lots of other cuttings, which is all this is. We just go ahead and cut off a bunch of the leaf area so that the amount of water that this plant without roots can bring up to its leaves is in balance with the amount of leaves it has. And then take it and you slide it into the soil. You want to do this right after you cut it so that it's nice and fresh. If for some reason you got to wait, you come back and recut that stem, so you're sticking a freshly cut stem in. Then you firm it really well, and now you have 3 suckers now going to be tomato plants. Probably 10 days at the most to root, maybe less. You can eventually give them a little tug and you'll see that they don't want to come out. And it won't be long after that before you'll see growth. And then when the roots show up at the bottom, you'll know it's time to put it out. I'm guessing you could put these out by the end of the first week of June, which is pretty good. You couldn't get a tomato started that quickly. Now, you want to have a certain size, and we have a couple examples of here of ones that would work and won't work. Right here we have one that I could make work, but only if I was desperate. I'd like it to be much bigger. It just doesn't have much stem to work with, but we're going to stick it in and maybe we'll check back with you and let you know how it did. Okay. Well, it's so delicate that I didn't even get the leaf. There we go. So that is like the barest minimum size stem you can work with, I think. And I think I've been successful. I've gotten these to work, but obviously it's not going to be as big a plant. But maybe that's the only size sucker you can find right now, and you're anxious to get some rooted. You could always do these, and then next week when there's some bigger suckers on your friend's plant, you can come take some bigger ones, and they may be slightly later, but you might think they're more vigorous and do better. An example of one that won't work at all is something like right here. There's just no stem there to work with, you know. It's just not gonna, you don't have enough stem to do anything, so it has to get a little bigger. And that's tomato propagation. On the run, when you haven't got your tomatoes lined up for this year, you can still get some from suckers or volunteers.